Physical activity and exercise play a huge role in the prevention of Alzheimer's disease and in, of course, helping reverse some of those signs and symptoms. At least that's what the research shows. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of papers looking at various aspects of physical activity and Alzheimer's conditions. Now, they're both human in terms of large studies and, of course, lots and lots of mice studies. The critical thing about here is, first of all, the physical activity doesn't work just on its own. So I want to highlight, of course, what I always do is highlight the link with the gut, because there's a physical activity, what I call the physical activity gut Alzheimer's link. And I'll show you in a moment how physical activity stimulates the right gut growth, which then stimulates the physical activity and so on. It's this positive feedback loop. But to get underway, the research shows that if you're physically active for a minimum of 30 minutes a day, moderately active, okay, 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week, or the alternative is 20 minutes of vigorous activity, and that'll be running or jogging or walking really, really fast, or swimming, exercising, weights, whatever it is, then 20 minutes vigorous 3 times a week, it reduces the risk of Alzheimer's by about 20%. That's a pretty good number, isn't it? 20%. Wow, I want to do that. But there's some really more good news coming. So just hang on, okay? I'm going to show you how it all puts together and fits together. Now, the question is what exercise? A lot of people ask, what exercise is best? The research doesn't really show it, but it does show that the more you do, the lower the risk. And how much more, we don't know, or I don't know yet. I couldn't find any studies after looking at them all. But what we did find, when they got some mouse studies, they got mice on literally on doing high intensity interval training, the HIIT training. And when they did 8 minutes a day for about 5 or 6 or 8 weeks in the various experiments and so on, it had lots and lots of benefits. However, what they did was an extra add-on there. They just didn't do the HIIT training. In another one, they added some coenzyme Q10, which is a nutritional supplement, which is something that helps with your energy in the mitochondria. And the mitochondria, by the way, is where the damage is done up in the brain. So, hey, it's a pretty good idea that this is going to work. So they added that, and it came up with some extra benefits. In another study, they added the 8-minute high-intensity interval training on mice with resistance training. And the first thing you're going to say is, how did you get the mice to do the weights? Well, they just put weights on their little ankles and their arms. So when they're moving around, they do that for about 10 minutes, 11 minutes every single day. And so that again showed a reduction in Alzheimer's, also a reversal of the plaque formation. So it doesn't matter what exercise, it all shows the benefits, but the more you do, the better it is. And for obvious reasons, you want to get a mix of it, because resistance training has other benefits in terms of reducing, building your muscle mass, of course, and reducing your risk of frailty and so on, which is associated with Alzheimer's. So first of all, if we take that and we say, okay, how does it do it? Well, the first part is whenever you exercise, it decreases the plaque formation in the brain. So if you're on the way to Alzheimer's, and most people are at about 30 years, that's where they start their journey towards Alzheimer's. It's not something that happens when you get to 85. And it decreases the plaque formation. But what's great is it also, exercise decreases or increases the beta amyloid plaque degradation. So it starts to degrade it, break it down, and get rid of it out of the body. It also decreases oxidation, which is the cause of the beta amyloid plaque, and neuroinflammation, which are the key factors in the plaque formation and all the damage that's done up in the brain. So it decreases that. It increases your brain growth factors. One in particular called your brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And this is the type of stuff that helps reinvigorate your brain. It helps to regrow your brain, retrain your brain. It's what gives your brain the plasticity and so on to work and expand and get better. And so it increases these brain-derived neurotrophic factors. But also there's another little one, and this comes up in the research. It's called irisin. And this is really stimulated. It's called an exercise hormone. And when you exercise, your muscles produce it and it goes up to the brain, and it has all these multiple benefits. And they've even found that it stimulates, the irisin, not only helps reverse the plaque itself, but it stimulates the brain-derived neurotrophic factor as well. Other factors in there. So right at this point in time, and this is the last just couple of years, they're looking at using this as a treatment in Alzheimer's. The only problem is it will be very, very cheap and probably not a great idea for pharmaceutical companies to make a profit. But coming back, we can stimulate it with exercise. Now, if you want to get some irisin for free, just exercise. Remember, it's the exercise hormone, and that stimulates that, and that starts to clear out the brain. Win, win, win. When you exercise, it increases your mitochondrial function. That's the powerhouse of all your cells, and that's stuff that the Alzheimer's starts to damage. So we want to improve that, improve the quality of it, and that's what it does. And of course, as a result, you end up with improved memory, cognition, and function, and on the animal and human experiments in the prevention of Alzheimer's. It's a win-win situation. They say, well, what's that got to do with other aspects? There are many other factors that can increase. For example, nutrition can increase some of these as well. But what we do know is when you do that exercise every day, it improves your gut health. And it improves your gut health by increasing the biodiversity of it. And the biodiversity is how many of the different species and varieties and types of microorganisms are in the gut. The bigger the variety, like a rainforest, the better it is and healthier it is. And in particular, three that they normally identify with being really good for your gut are Akkermansia, Bifidobacterium, and Lactobacillus. These two you'll recognize in your yogurts and in your probiotics, and you'll know because I've already talked about those in my other video. So please make sure you check out those other videos on Alzheimer's. This is just one phase or one part of all this. And by subscribing below, you'll get the updates of all the information, the newest information. This is literally 2023, 22, and 21 research coming out here. So we've got this improved Bifidobacterium gut health. Now, that has a double-edged benefit. The first is it helps improve physical activity, and I will be putting up a video just on the gut and physical activity. But what we do know is that it helps with muscle recovery. So your good gut health, performance, gut health improves physical performance, and it improves your dopamine motivation. The thing that gets you up and motivated and out there is primarily dopamine. That's the thing that gets you addicted to things as well, whether it's exercise or a drug or alcohol. It's a dopamine hit, and that part of that dopamine hit is mediated via good gut health. So if we look after the gut, okay, it has a dopamine and it has a benefit on exercise. Exercise comes around and benefits gut health as well. It's a win-win situation. Now, the other aspect of all that, in the process of doing all that, it also produces these fantastic nutrients and chemicals that go around and make messages around to the body and the brain and so on. And in particular, and it's not one, there are literally hundreds of them, okay? And there's one particular short-chain fatty acid called butyrate. And on a healthy brain, all these bacteria here are what we call butyrate-producing bacteria. And so the butyrate-producing bacteria go up, stimulates the brain, and does all the same, exactly the same as exercise. It produces neurotransmitters, neuronutrients, anti-inflammatory agents, antioxidants, and it does exactly the same as what exercise does. That's why in that earlier experiment that I mentioned earlier, they've added, literally with the high intensity training, probiotics. It's a win-win situation. So this is a gut exercise, right? The gut exercise Alzheimer's link. The more exercise and the more you look after your gut, the lower the risk of Alzheimer's. Make sure you subscribe below and share this information. Please like and let me know what other information you'd like.